Hello, friends. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. And it is a pleasure to welcome all of you to the next episode of From Ordinary to Extraordinary. We here is a platform we discuss, transformative journeys, experiences, pivots, which we all make at various points of our life's journey. And we know that these stories inspire you also. When you feel being stuck, you feel being what next? So, I once again welcome all of you to the episode of From Ordinary to Extraordinary. And I am privileged to welcome Lameez Johnson. I will just have a quick story how I know Lameez before I give an insight into Lameez. So, Lameez was doing her coaching session, and it was through that LinkedIn contact where she was reaching out for people to help her in her coaching journey. So I became a coachee with her, and I like to say that it was a fantastic experience, which also helped me in my pivot, in my transition to entrepreneurship. So, with that quick short introduction about our interaction, let me welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Fabi. I'm really looking forward to this afternoon. And thank you so much for your introduction. I was also thinking about how we first met, and it's quite a good, or it's a good story for both of us, because I think it also shows the power of LinkedIn. A lot of people think LinkedIn is just for looking for jobs, for applying, but it's also networking. So thank you so much for this afternoon, for your invitation, and I look forward to our session.
Thank you, Lameez. So I just give a quick introduction about Lameez. Lameez, a certified life coach, Enneagram practitioner, is based in Cape Town, South Africa, and her journey in from entry to mid-level management positions, navigating various career shifts, has fueled her passion for guiding others through career and personal challenges. So she brings a rich exposure. Lemis, are you there?
Yes, hi Fabi.
Yeah, so sorry, I don't know what happened. We had a tech challenge. All on a sudden, dear audience, we were thrown out of the platform. So it was a space where we didn't know what is happening here. So
Yes.
our apologies in this space. Thanks for your patience. So I think now we are back. Let me just send a message in the LinkedIn
Okay.
also, so people know we are back.
Technology is supposed to make life easier, but sometimes it makes it a bit more difficult.
Yeah, and it takes us to VUCA world, volatile,
Yes.
uncertain.
And it shows how much we rely on technology. When it goes off, we don't know what to do next.
Yeah. So thanks again. So I was just asking this question with you, Lemis, that um, if someone is asking, Lemis, tell us more about your current work. How will you share that introduction with the audience? So thanks again and welcome back.
Thank you. So, life coaching or coaching is a term that is not known to many, although a lot of people actually do coaching or are coached. And myself as a life coach, what I deal with is a lot of emotional, I deal with anxiety, people coming to me, they're uncertain in their career, what to do, they've lost a job, they don't know where to go to next. And I would come in as a life coach. I sit with them. We look at a life coach is a thinking partner. So it's not a therapist. I don't go back and look at the trauma. I look at the struggles they're going through and what they need to get to their desired goal. A lot of the times, to start my clients off, I ask them to look through a telescope, and the person on the other side of on outside of the telescope is who they are today. And I will ask them, looking through the telescope, looking back or looking forward into 6 months from now, where would you like to be, or where do you see yourself? They speak about maybe getting married, they speak about a job, and that we take from today, where they are today, to the 6 months, and we start working through it. We look at, if it's a job, we look at what they need. Maybe they need certain skills, maybe they need to move careers, maybe they need education. So we then start digging into what they need, what skills they need. We look at how we can assist them, and we start putting deadlines, we start working together. So that is how I deal with clients. A lot of people, like I say, don't know what life coaching is. Life coaching is, you experienced it as somebody who didn't know about what it was. You came in, and it's a conversation. It's a conversation, but it's more than a coffee conversation, because I help you when you procrastinate, when you're unclear of what the next steps are. I come in as a life coach and I guide you, I support you, I give you the right tools to be able to move. Some people, they sit in anxiety because they don't know where to go to next. And this is where life coach comes in. So I hope that's answered or given you a bit of background or explanation about a life coach.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Sometimes, as you rightly mentioned, we may not be people may be coming to that concept as a new term. So this may help them to understand how a life coach may be able to help in their life situations. So now coming to, I want to take back from your early studies phase, finding your first work. If you think about what is that story like, what comes to your mind?
So my first job or my first interest in working was in fitness. And I studied a fitness certificate. So I'm a certified personal trainer. And I worked in a gym in South Africa. I think I worked for 3.5 years. I worked as a fitness instructor, and then I went into kids club. So that was my early start to my career. And I don't know what interests me about fitness, although fitness is still important to me today because it helps me with what I'm doing. But looking back at my career, that is where I started. But before that, I actually started in my dad's business for 5 years
Mm.
after finishing high school. And that taught me the ropes or showed me where to go, how to work with money, how to be independent, what you need to run a business. And I think that also helped me navigate my career, understanding, because when I came out of high school, I was very lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So working for my dad in his own business helped me understand what I need to do next, how I can position myself to find a career. And so that really it gave me the foundation I needed to move into a career. So
Mm.
from fitness, I then moved abroad. In 2014 was my first space out of South Africa, and it was my first space into hospitality.
Mm.
And I started as a kids club attendant. Very, very big culture shock for me coming from South Africa into Middle East. Understanding that I didn't know anything about the country or the culture as much as I read about it.
Mm.
And I stayed in that position for 2 years. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was very difficult. And in that 2 years, I had sat with she was my operations manager, or she was like a hotel manager. And we spoke about my career, we spoke about what I wanted to do. And I was
Mm.
insistent that I wanted to be a sales person. And she
Mm.
said to me, I don't think that's working. It doesn't click with you. And she was the one that actually guided me to learning and development. I
Mm.
then
Mm.
realized I knew nothing about learning and development. I had no experience. And I started to ask questions. I was still within the hotel space, and I started asking questions. And then I understood I needed or a learnership or internship would help me. So I left the company I was with, moved on to UAE. I did an internship as a talent or brand learning and development. The internship was supposed to be for 6 months. I completed three because I had landed a permanent position in Oman as a training coordinator. And I think that is where my learning and development, or where my career actually took off, was from the training coordinator position.
Thank you very much. So it is interesting to see that discovery process which you go through. Like all of us, we all maybe sometimes in a position where we like to work, that specific work attracts us. Sometimes we may not be. But if I ask you, for example, what are some of the learnings in that process? Again, especially with that mentor you mentioned who helped you in that space, what thoughts were going on in your mind, and what did you find when you shifted, and what attracted you in that space?
So I was first very angry because she told me that sales was not for me. I don't know why sales, but I was angry, I was frustrated, and I think I just wanted, like you said, I was in a job that I wasn't happy in, and I just wanted a way out. And I just thought, okay, the quickest way, or when you're that young in your career, money is a big thing. And being new to hospitality, sales looked like, oh, they earn quite a lot of money. Let me do that. And so I tried, I was angry. It was like every time I tried to look forward or walk forward, somebody stopped me. And understanding or going through the conversation with my mentor made me understand that I was looking at it the wrong way. And the way she spoke to me, and she said, you know what? You don't like to speak to people, you don't like to sell things. So why would you go into sales? And I said, okay, you have a point. And one of the biggest learnings from that was to ask questions, to
Mm.
be curious, to look into things and not just say, okay, that looks good. And it's similar, or it's about the grass is not always greener on the other side, it's greener where you water it. So
Mm.
for me, I looked at another position and I said, okay, that's what I want to do. But my reasoning was wrong. And
mm,
so one of
mm,
the things that I have learned is I look back at it now and I say to myself, okay, how can I make a difference? Or what do I have to work in that capacity? And when I looked at learning and development, when she spoke to me about it, it made more sense. She said to
mm,
me, you like to teach people. At that time, I was helping two Sri Lankan boys. They couldn't speak English, and I was teaching them English. And she said to me, so why not learning and development? You enjoy teaching people, you like to see people grow, you're very friendly. And as the days went by, she made more sense why learning and development. So for me, curiosity, just asking the right questions, that is
mm,
something I learned out of it, and not to be too hasty, not to rush into anything just because it looks good.
mm, mm, mm. That's interesting, and yeah, yeah, the key themes which is coming is which I found attractive is curiosity, and also another aspect is the motivational words which your mentor said, especially with respect to how you find joy in that process, especially helping in others. And if you reflect back, what are some of those kind of words still resonating with you? And if you can share one or two other stories related to that.
So I then pursued learning and development, and I thought to myself, okay, this is easy. But again, it looked easy, but when you step into it, it's not as easy because I didn't work in hospitality before, so I had to learn learning and development within hospitality. It was a foreign country, so I had to learn about different languages, different cultures. There were lots of things that started popping up, and I even started to doubt, am I supposed to be in learning and development? Because I couldn't speak, I couldn't understand some people with the language barriers. Sometimes I would get frustrated because I'm saying one thing and they learning different. And it started to make me think, okay, what am I supposed to do? And again, one thing that was important to me was if I couldn't connect with a person, I wouldn't just leave them, but I would try and help them, even if it meant giving them over to somebody else. And so for me, one of the things that helped me or made me move my career or understand it a bit more, like you said, the curiosity of it. What was learning and development? What did I need to do? And when I moved into the internship, I started to again feel frustrated because I didn't understand what learning and development was. So I then started being curious into what is it? What do I need to do? And that is where I started to learn the different positions. And when I got my permanent position in Oman as a training coordinator, I thought I knew what it was. I said, okay, I'm going to go. This is going to be fine. I've read the job description, read everything. And I went, and within the first 2 weeks of me joining Oman, no, the first 2 months, sorry, my training manager had resigned. So I'm a fresh training coordinator, just 3 months out of internship, and my manager resigns. And it's a pre opening hotel, so I have to step into management. It was the most difficult time for me, but it taught me so many things as well. So, stepping into that, I understood that it's not just about a term, learning and development. It's not just about sales. It's not about hospitality. It's about understanding what those things do. What did a training coordinator do? What did a training manager do? And that helped me develop myself and develop my career. And that was the curiosity, and it kept me curious because every time there was a new position, there was a new thing happening. So a lot of the words or the themes or stories that come to mind for me is everything happened for me in Muscat. That was my biggest growing point in my career because I started as a training coordinator. I had to step in as a manager. For 4 months, I managed the department, successfully got the hotel to open. I was under the mentorship of our corporate director of training. She took me under her wing and she showed me everything I needed to do. Obviously, I still made mistakes, but it was the biggest learning. And after that, moving into assistant training manager, that was when I realized I can do this. Because you you understand I understood what I needed to do. I knew what the training coordinator needed to do. I knew what assistant training manager needed to do. So the curiosity helped me to fine tune and set the foundation.
That's fantastic. From ordinary to the extraordinary in a space where you find that challenge and take it head on and get the again support of people around you to make it better. So again, I just want to check on with you here. Um, what were some of the limiting beliefs you had to overcome at that stage if you reflect back?
So limiting beliefs, there were lots of them. There were lots of voices in my head that spoke and told me, you can't do this is not for you. And a lot of it was around titles, degrees. By the time I had stepped into assistant training manager, I realized I might not be able to get a training manager position because I didn't speak Arabic, because I didn't have qualifications. And it started to make me feel claustrophobic because I realized that's going to be where I die in my career. And for me, I then started to look at what needs to happen. So, one of the limiting beliefs for me was titles.
Mm,
I started to see that I thought people were better than me because they were a training manager, they were director of training. And again, my mentee or the corporate director of training, she spoke to me and she said, don't look at people at titles, look at their experience, because
mm,
your experience is what gets you further. Somebody can be a training manager in the position for 20 years, and you can move your career 5 times in that 20 years beyond what their position is because of your experience. So I started to let go of needing to be a training manager, and I
mm,
started to
mm.
understand that it's just a title. And I'm not downgrading anybody's titles. I'm saying for me, that was something. Training manager was my be all end all. When I didn't get it, I felt like the biggest failure. And looking back at that, I started to look not at the title, but look at what I achieved. I achieved training coordinator 1 year, moving into assistant training manager. Some people don't get that. I went to Dubai to open another pre opening property, and I led the training director, or I assisted her in leading her department because of my experience. So, a lot of the limiting beliefs came from letting go of titles, understanding that my experience was on the same level as people in high titles. And another limiting belief was that because I didn't have a degree, I cannot make it.
Yeah, I think there was a connection. That's okay. Yeah, so you are trying to convey about that limiting belief aspect and how to
Yes.
overcome that. And here we have someone sending a message. It is Laura who sent a message. Lemis is one of the most insightful life coaches I have encountered. She beautifully blends her international experiences with young and more mature people. She holds space even for senior executives. So that is a fantastic comment shared by Laura. Thank you, Laura, for joining and being with us today in the LinkedIn Live. Yes, we had sometimes some tech challenges. Kindly bear with us. I hope you are enjoying the uh, session or this discussion conversation. In case of any questions, thoughts, please share it with us. Now, coming to that, I just want to touch base on the mentors who have gated. So, what are some of the mentors or supportive individuals? Sometimes we consider these people as our mentors. Maybe we haven't mentioned that you are my mentor, but there are supportive individuals we consider as mentors, and how they have. For example, one person you mentioned. Again, is there any other people who you think might have helped you in pivoting at various stages, and in what way?
So I just want to say thank you to Laura for her comment. And it's very interesting the question you asked because Laura has been one of my mentors. She's been with me through hospitality, out of hospitality. And Laura was one of the people who inspired me to take on coaching because Laura suffocated me with coaching questions. And every time I came to Laura with a problem, she would say, "But what would you do?" And eventually I thought to myself, I don't know why I go to this lady because she just asked me what I would do. But in that, understanding that what she was doing was making me think and making me dig into how can I do this? Because I have the experience, I have what it takes. I just need to ask the right question. So there's been lots of mentors that have stuck with me through my hospitality into my coaching, and there are new mentors that are in my coaching with me now. If it wasn't for my mentors, I don't think I would have made it as far as I did. Um, there are many, many of them that I cannot name individually today, but a lot of them have come in at the right time in my career. And if I look at moving from hospitality into coaching, I had to look differently at mentors. And mentors that I have today in coaching are some people that have started their own coaching businesses. Some of them have been going for 5 years, some have been going for 3 years, and they've kind of taken me under their wing and they are teaching me. But more than teaching me, they also helping me network, helping me understand how to show coaching better. And so a lot of people that I also didn't realize were mentors have popped up. And today I sit with a few in hospitality. I sit with, and some of them are in low positions, some of them are in high positions, and that again goes back to it is not the position, it is the person. It is the struggles, how they struggle, how they move from their challenges into moving forward. Um, and so I do have many mentors. A lot of them I'm still connected with. And if it wasn't for staying connected and building those relationships, I don't think that I would have, that my career would have gone the way it did. Because as I mentioned, the first mentor I had was Monica Tritz. She is now a general manager in Doha. And when I spoke with her, it was also, I also didn't understand who she was and what position she needed to take in my career. But she kind of guided me and put me on the right path to where I needed to be. And if I look back at that, anybody else would have maybe said, okay, you want to go into sales? We have a position for sales coordinator, go. But she took the time and she sat and she took me through it. And sometimes the right people come to you when you need it and they stay on as mentors. And sometimes they're people that you think are mentors and you follow them and you follow them into the deep dark seas.
Thank you, Lameez. Yeah, it was an opportunity for me also to reflect on some of the mentors, and again, the question which you also asked me, what Phoebe, what will you do? The coaching question actually also helped me in my own process and shifting and transitioning into my own organizational development journey. So, thank you for that. And again, yes, we have Laura again highlighted that listening to Lemmy's journey and her journey makes me realize we are all on our own paths, and how we choose to appreciate it makes all the difference. Thank you, Laura. And at this stage, I just want to ask you, um, we all have struggles that makes our journeys extraordinary in our own eyes and our own perspectives. How do you maintain a growth mindset and continue to push your boundaries?
So boundaries are something I struggle with, personal, and I'm learning more, struggling with clients and struggling with it because I want to help everybody. But a growth mindset for me, I made a promise to myself in January this year that I would develop myself and my skill set. And it costs a lot of money. But I managed to go through the first quarter and the first and a bit of a half of the second quarter developing my skills. And something I realized is I felt like I needed to collect certificates. And in collecting those certificates, I understood that I was only collecting them, I wasn't using them. So in January, I started and I did, it's an emotion centered coaching program with the Seva Collective, and it's led by Dan Newby. And it really helped me to position myself and to understand emotions, to understand how to regulate emotions. So I did that course. Then I went into another course and another course. My Enneagram course I did in March. And it was at that point that I said to myself, okay, now you need to use the skills because you're paying out money and you're getting the certificates. But what can you do? So I've started to make myself understand that it's not about collecting the certificates. To work in a growth mindset, yes, you need to upskill yourself, but it can be about having a conversation with somebody out in a different environment, somebody in a different industry, somebody who's going through challenges. So I started having conversations with different people, and that started growing or adding to my skill set. People who had businesses for 10, 15 years, I started networking with them. So networking became something very important for me to expand and to open up a growth mindset because, again, curiosity. You have a business that's successful for 15 years. How did you do it? What were your challenges? And that has really helped me understand or to grow myself. So, learning and development or developing my skills, networking with different people, and also understanding that I need to have boundaries. So, I've recently started setting personal boundaries, and it's been helping me a lot as well. So that is what helps me to go or to be able to develop a growth mindset.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Uh, I think that that part of networking. So maybe there are many uh, people who are not familiar with networking. Now, imagine that. So for example, how uh, and for example, can you share a story of networking which might have helped you?
So, networking, I have quite a few stories, but one story that I will say is there is a lady that has been following my journey or been connecting with me. Her name is Sam Wilcox Dedricks. She's also a coach. And it was when I worked in Muscat. She really loved the property. She had been there, I think, once or twice. We had missed each other, and in me working there, we connected. But I also started, when I started studying the coaching, realized that she studied the same course that I did. And it was only when I moved back to Cape Town that we really connected, but we had networked and we'd stayed connected. And Sam has been somebody who's been very present and very helpful in my coaching career. She's explained to me how to set up a business. She's explained what I need to do. So if it wasn't for that networking, for connecting with somebody, I didn't know Sam at all. Yet our paths were intertwined in so many different ways. Sam also worked in the Middle East, but we never ever engaged personally until I moved to Cape Town. And so networking that way helped me, or has helped me move my career. And coming back to Cape Town, I felt relieved because there's somebody who speaks the same language, knows I'm shifting from a full time job into my own business, and she really helped me. So networking, that was one way of networking for me, because I could have just said, well, I don't know this person, okay, nice, she enjoys Muscat, she liked the property, but I wanted to continue, and I put the effort in to network. We started speaking more, we started exploring our coaching, how we work together. I think she did the coaching diploma a few years before me. So we spoke about the differences, and that was a way of networking for me. And it's helped me a lot now in my coaching, because Sam has her own coaching business. She helped me network in different avenues, saying, speak to this person, attend this course. And so networking has helped me not only navigate from Middle East to South Africa, but it's also helped me navigate my career, moving from hospitality, which is something that I knew, into a uncertainty of coaching.
Hmm. Thank you. And a very interesting story on networking. And here we have a question from Laura. And this is a question for Lameez. Lameez, how do you find a mentor?
How do I find a mentor? So far, I've been lucky. I haven't had to look very far, but I think curiosity is part of that. And I think for me, if I see somebody doing a good job, or somebody that inspires me, to start a conversation with them and to ask them, how did you start your business? How did you start your career? And I think going in that direction would help somebody find, or to start up a mentor relationship. I hope that answers your question with Laura.
Thank you, Lameez. Thank you, Laura, for the question. We have Yasser also joining from South Africa. Thanks, Yasser, for joining. And Yasser Hendricks has a question for you, and it is about the boundaries. The question is, why are boundaries so important, and how do we cut off people who might be the closest to us?
So, thank you for your question, Yasir. Boundaries are important because imagine if you didn't have boundaries. You're a lion, you're running outside, there's no boundaries around you. Imagine what could happen. You will get hurt, you will go places that you're not supposed to go, and you will not know how to come out of those places. So, without boundaries, we don't know where we need to be. We don't know the path. We don't know what we need going forward. And with boundaries, it helps us to safeguard our energy, to safeguard what we can do. And so, if I give an example, as a coach, I deal with people's energy, I deal with their emotions. And in the beginning, I made the mistake of being available 24/7 for every client. I wanted to help everybody. And that resulted in me stepping into burnout without me knowing it, because I took on everybody's struggles, but I didn't give myself space to breathe. And so, the first part of your question, Yasser, why are boundaries important? It's important because we are only one, and to be able to look after ourselves, we need boundaries. The second part of your question, asking about how do we cut off people or that are closest to us, I think it's not so much as cutting people off, but it's about laying down the boundaries and saying, I am important, saying, I come first. And if they don't understand that, remember, everybody is on a journey, and we're all getting to the same destination of becoming better. but our journeys start different, they look different, they take different paths. And so if you tell people that this is who I am and I come first and they don't agree with you or they have a different thought process, that's completely fine. But as long as you mention your boundaries and you let them know that this is what I need, and if they can't get on the same track with you, that's fine. When it comes to cutting off people, if that's what needs to happen, unfortunately, that needs to happen. And maybe at some point or a different point, you can connect again. But I think with boundaries, it's most important to look out for yourself because we cannot pour from an empty cup. So I hope that
Thank you.
answers your questions, Yasir.
Yeah, the empty cup example is something which is to be kept and be understood and kept in mind. Thank you, Yasser, for the question. Thank you, Lameez, for that wonderful answer. And I know we have time flies, even though we had initial small technology challenges, and I appreciate all of you being with us this time. And this is my final question, Lameez. Which after that we will close. So the question is, looking back on your journey, what are you most proud of, and what excites you about the future?
So I am most proud of stepping into my own coaching practice. It is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to step into my own business in fitness. It never worked. And my proudest moment is my coaching business. Something that I learned stepping into my coaching business is I am now working from passion and not from the need of money, money, money. And I think that is a very big difference for me. And yeah, so my coaching practice, it's 1 year. I look forward to where it can grow into different avenues globally. And I look forward to see myself, how I can grow my practice and how I can continue to empower people and to give them the voices that they maybe struggle to use.
Thank you. And with that, we come to the close of this episode of From Ordinary to Extraordinary. And I like to appreciate and thank Lemise for joining me and accepting my invite and sharing her journey, her thoughts. And I wish her again a fantastic time ahead. And for those who like to have a life coach, please feel free to reach out. Lameez Johnson is there on LinkedIn. So thank you, Lameez, and thank you everyone for being part of this journey with us today. And see you with